very 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 important thing I think is having those boys, especially at that seventh grade year, especially at that seventh grade year, even into the eighth grade year, have them sing in falsetto for as long as they possibly can because they can, and it's not going to hurt them. It eventually someday that's going to be more and more difficult for them. But for instance, I've had my seventh grade boys sing SA music, uh, where they were going up to high Fs, high Gs at times, and you want to just keep that going for as long as possible because it's gonna drop before you know it, and then by that time, those days are past. So do your best to keep them in that high range of singing their head voice or that falsetto voice. I'll sometimes play the A440 note and have the boys, match that pitch and explain to them, well, that string on the piano is vibrating 440 times a second, and the same thing is happening with your voice. Your vocal cords are vibrating that quickly to produce that sound. Go an octave lower. Okay, well, that's 220 times, an octave lower, and so on and so forth, or an octave higher, however way you want to go. Along with the breath is teaching them the support from below, from your torso area, from your abdominal muscles. And I tell my guys, I tell them to flex, have that strength from below.
For instance, what do you do with the cambiata singers, the singers who are changing voices? What specific exercises do you do for them to help them through this change from cambiata to voice change?
Okay, again, it's the falsetto singing. Obviously, just um, starting off down in your chest voice, like a me me ma mo moo exercise, and they're just and then just dramatically and just going like that. But then after you're warming up the voice sometime, um, I like to do this exercise. It's paw paw paw, like PAW, paw paw paw, and it's starting on high E flat. That's the high space treble clef, and it's just going down that triad. So you're doing it quickly. They're not holding the note, but they're actually hitting that high note, and they're staying in that head voice, that falsetto voice, as low as they possibly can. And you'll probably get down to maybe an A major triad below middle C. You know. And they want to stay in their falsetto for as low as they possibly can. There's a gap between the chest and the head voice, as we have experienced. There's a gap there that the guy just sometimes just cannot produce a sound. His voice just is not strong enough to even produce a sound. So that's where at the beginning of my session I talked about patience. That's where patience comes into play. The teacher has to have patience and they have to understand, okay, the kid can sing. Don't tell them that they can't sing. They can sing. They just can't, their voice isn't strong enough or isn't developed enough to sing those pitches. And so in turn, we need to relay that to the kid and just say, hey, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Somebody else in here will be able to sing something that you can't, and you'll be able to sing something that they can't. And it's just this trade-off. It's that teamwork. So, Jacqueline, I hope I explained that.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, when I taught men's ensembles, the first week was always the most fascinating for students because, and I would always ask them, I would love those descending exercises, and sure enough, right around that passaggio area, they would almost all cut out. And I say, raise your hand if your voice cut out, and they raised their hand and they looked around and they said, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. And it was
Exactly.
realizing that they weren't alone in their struggles which was really there, you sensed a breath of like, oh, everything's okay. What
Right.
you kind of blazed through the mi me ma mo mu. Which one?
Okay.
What exercise do you do for mi me ma?
So like I will start on F below middle C most times. Okay, and it's just sing mi me ma mo mu. You know, so you go up chromatically, and I'll take them up an octave. So they're working through that passaggio of those notes that they just can't produce, but they're still trying. You're not going to ignore it, but you're going to still try. And so I'll just do that. Actually, that's the first warm up I do every day, is that mi me ma mo mu. And I again, yeah, it's working those notes that they just sometimes can't produce. Most, well, I'm going to say, let's just say 60% can, but there's going to be, you know, that 40-30% that just might have some difficulties, and you always want to just work through that. Eventually, I've found taking that high pitch on po po po, and if they can sing with that falsetto voice as low as they possibly can go, then that somehow bridges that gap.